Hi there, YouTube. A while ago I showed you Oil's Well on the Game Boy Advance playing a homebrew on one of these flash cartridges. This actually is a very nicely done paint job and actually a backlit screen. But I showed a homebrew game of the game of Oil's Well on the Game Boy Advance. Now I played it mostly on the Commodore 64 and I decided to play it and see if I'm any better at it. This is just me playing this after I've played the Game Boy Advance version, and I'm actually so much better at it, and it's actually more smoother to play. So yeah, let's go check out some of the gameplay. Right, Oil's Well on the Commodore 64. Now, I've played this more than I've played the other versions. Now, what does appear more frequently in this game is actually these chalices that allow you to get extra points. There's also a special item that looks like it. It's like a poisoned pear. You shouldn't eat that, but you might be drawn to it just as easily as this. Now, because of the color palette of the Commodore 64 being very, how do you say that? Very light, it's not always as easy to distinguish the opponents. Ah, bloody hell! Look at that. I believe the enemies go a bit faster than the Game Boy Advance version I recently showed. The big numbers of the level intermissions really remind me of the big lettering that you can also find on the Atari systems. For some reason this feels like an Atari original, but I could be mistaken. Ah, this is one of the specials that you should not eat. And for some reason, cornering in this version actually is a bit easier, and it's more snappy and more responsive. Now, that special item, it can touch your oil line without issues. And as you can see, the levels are actually fairly similar to those found on the Game Boy Advance, but it's actually easier to navigate around all the nooks and crannies. And I thought I was getting an extra level. Now, the original disc that this comes on actually saves the high score, but there's an error in the high score saving routines, and it can actually seriously corrupt your drive. So if you own original discs, do not let the high score save routine save on your original game disc, because you'll lose out. But yeah, I seem to have managed to repair my Commodore 64 full screen error. Yes, there seems to be some sort of full screen optimization thing that Windows 10 does. Really weird. Whoops. Whoa! I think I'm going to go for the extra and just eat. Yeah, look, that pear thing you can actually, oh, there's just a single one left. Yes. Back in the day I could easily play this and have it come full circle, and I may actually still be able to do so. Oops. The levels layout may be slightly different if you compare it with the it's always good to go for the extra. There's some time. Get the chalice. Let's go for the extra. Now, this really has some horrible nooks and crannies. Yes. Just go for those. Yeah. Oh man, I'm playing this a lot better than I was playing the other game, and I didn't even practice. Like I said, making these corners is actually a lot easier to do. Whoa! Only barely got that. But as you can see, there's actually quite nasty things that you can really have a hard time catching up. Whoa, bloody hell. I was too quick. Yep. And I think eating these things down here is actually the way to go. I remember that being very tough. Now the screen is just filled with all sorts of baddies. You really have to have your peripheral vision going at all times in this game. Ah, bloody hell. So, getting these last few bits is actually quite... Whoa! Game over? I think so, yeah. Time to try it out on the MSX. Okay, here we have the MSX version of Oilswell, and it's a bit different. It plays rather fast. But about as smooth as the Commodore 64 version. Now, the sounds are less impressive than the Commodore 64 version, but it's really is a smooth experience. The sprites are a single color, not multicolored like the Commodore 64 version. And the background is pure black, so the contrast is actually a bit better in this version, I think. Let's go for the extra. It's a bit easier to accidentally go diagonally, as you can see. Like that. Whoops! But a very competent version. Oh, bloody hell. Now get that last pill. Level 3. But as you can see, the graphics in these versions are pretty much identical. Oops. Yeah, it's very hard to escape that one. But yeah, controlling the Commodore 64 version, it's actually a slightly easier. Now, there must be a very good... Whoops. Oh, bloody hell. Oh well, game over. Time to try it out on the Atari 8-bit home computer line. Okay, oil's well on the Atari. Very similar. Very similar to the Commodore 64 version. And also less contrast, because they somehow thought it would be a good idea to just have the earth that you dig in appear as brown. For an Atari game, actually quite brightly colored enemy sprites. The color palette that the Atari is capable of using is actually far superior than the C64. Like the C64, it uses the same processor, and it has specialized audio and video chips, making it a perfect gaming machine. And like the Commodore 64, it uses a split screen technique, or a raster interrupt technique, I guess, to actually fill the screen, the background, with various colors. Now, these early ports of Atari and Commodore games really often look incredibly similar, which is the result of the hardware actually being very similar. But the Atari is actually a lot faster than the Commodore 64 when it comes to processing speed. The processor on the Commodore I believe it's running at 1 megahertz, whereas the processor on the processor on the Atari is actually exceeding 2 megahertz, I believe. Or perhaps it's even running at 3. I'm not sure. Time flies when you're having fun, but whoops! Yeah, I'm really not sure what those things are. Poisoned bottles filled with poison or something. I do want that chalice. Oh goodness. As you can see, it really doesn't matter which port you play, but I must say that the Commodore 64 version, as well as the Atari 8-Bit version, really play the best and are very similar. And the enemies, they look very similar as well. You have multiple colors per sprite, and basically the sprites actually look pretty much identical. And it's about the same speed. I found the MSX version to be of a bit of a different speed. But what always surprises me is the fact that the Atari's colors often are off. I mean, why use purples in the walls and stuff? You know, it's really... It must be down to the fact that these games were programmed in the 80s. Perhaps the sense of aesthetics actually was quite different back then. I mean, only a decade earlier. Oh wow, that's different. It has a sort of alarm just before the... That's different to the Commodore 64 version. I thought it was a glitch, but actually there's some sort of alarm sound just before the power pill's effect is wearing off. Which is actually quite helpful. Should be able to get that last one. Yep. Yeah, this actually plays more or less identical to the Commodore 64 version. I'm not sure if I like the color scheme used. It's actually quite different. But yeah, I mean, that's something that is just a thing with these old Atari home computer systems. They had a tremendous amount of colors, but I guess the programmers really had choice anxiety. Whoa! Oh, bloody hell. I mean, so many beautiful colors to choose from, and yet they... Whoa. Yeah, there are quick and easy ways down. This one, for example. A feeble attempt of me getting at the chalice in time. Oh man, I played this a lot. There was one winter. It was winter time when I actually played this for the first time. It was snowing outside. It's actually snowing outside right now. And I just played this to death. I really loved it. Now, probably some sort of sound will chime. This is actually looking very similar. And this is the easy way down. Oh. I'm not sure what that sound is. I thought it was a warning sound that was not present in the Commodore 64 version, but it may actually just be a glitch in the sound routines. Dare to stray away. Ah, bloody hell. I should go for it. But now it's also time to go grab the other stuff. Whoa, bloody hell. That was intense. They really home in on you in drones. Let's go grab the power pill. Nope. Bloody hell. 11 seconds. I do need... Oh, it doesn't stop the time, does it? Out of time. Well, now I can leisurely search. Oh, wow. Oh, bloody hell. My greed got the better of me. Ah, bloody hell. Some more greed. Ah! Oh, game over! Oh, man! Oh, well. This is... this is Oil's Well on the Atari 8-Bit. The Atari 800 XL, to be exact.